Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans! I'm Kelly One Shot, and this is the Post-Crisis Podcast. And today, we're going to talk about The Flash number 83 from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson. Okay, so in the last issue we actually found out that Captain Cold has taken over Central City and he has used the technology that Lex Luthor gave him, mixed with the technology of Mirror Master's Mirror Tech, to take over Central City and freeze it. All the rogues don't necessarily agree with his plan, and he actually killed Commander Cold from the future, and he's telling the world that Flash is dead, but meanwhile, he actually has the Flash inside of his prison in Ice Heights, formerly Iron Heights, as well as the Trickster and several other people like the Strength Force user and the Still Force user. Okay, so we start this story off where Captain Cold is pretty much telling us all of this. How he took over the city, how everybody respects him, how King Cold will live on forever, and he actually mentions how he has the Flash locked away powerless because it's proof that he won. Even though the world is ending, no one can ever take that from him. So we actually see the Flash inside of his cell, and he's kind of yelling back and forth with the Trickster, who is another prisoner inside of Captain Cold's prison here. And he's saying that he had it all, he beat Flash, and Captain Cold couldn't handle that, so here he is in prison now. And meanwhile, it's the end of the world. But Golden Glider actually sneaks into the Flash's cell. Golden Glider doesn't necessarily agree with what her brother Leonard is doing. She has been in hiding ever since the sky went dark and the Sigil of Doom rose into the sky, and the Flash is being visited by Golden Glider in her cell. She's actually here to stop her brother, to get the Flash out of this prison. She initially wants to do it the quiet way, but the Flash doesn't have his powers, so he can't phase through the walls. So they agree to do it the noisy way. Golden Glider uses her powers to break their way through the prison, but these huge mechanical ice robots are actually there to try to stop the two of them. They're essentially the defense system for Ice Heights here. They kind of battle. The Flash doesn't have his power, so he's really just trying to evade and keep away from things, and Golden Glider tricks them into smashing a hole open into the prison where they are able to escape, and they actually see the Sigil of Doom in the sky. It's a little confusing because in Justice League, Flash knows about this, the Sigil of Doom. He's all there, he's with the Justice League trying to help everybody out. He just sent John Stewart into a Speed Force car to rescue Kendra and her son to try to help save the world and stop the Anti-Monitor and Perpetua and Apex Lex Luthor. But I digress. So it's just weird how we have these two contrasting things happening here. It's to make sense for people who only read The Flash or if you only read Justice League, but it is a little confusing if you do read both, which I do love to read. So they're kind of making their way through the city here, and we see, again, Leonard is just kind of telling his soldiers the moment that he killed Flash, how he took over Central City, and he's trying to convince them because he wants to show him that he's the Flash's greatest enemy and that the Flash is dead, so there's no hope to overcome his tyranny. Meanwhile, two of his assistants actually break in and they say that there's been a problem, there's been a breach in the lower cells, and actually cell number 8 has been affected. Leonard knows right away who could have helped the Flash. He doesn't say it to his associates here, but he knows that his sister has been hiding here since they took over Central City, and that he needs to stop them. So he uses the tech that Lex gave him along with the Mirror Master tech, and he creates these gigantic ice wolves because his sister Lisa is afraid of wolves apparently ever since she was a kid, and he uses the wolves to go to Central City and find his sister and the Flash. We see the Flash and Golden Glider making their way through a destroyed and icy Central City. Everybody's trying to do their best to stay warm and just to survive and make the best of what they can, and Central City's broken. She tells Flash that she doesn't want everybody to know that he's still alive because she doesn't want to give Central City false hope potentially in case they aren't able to save the day. It's here where Avery Ho and Wallace West actually run into the Flash. They're very shocked. They're surprised to see each other here. They kind of embrace in this hug here, and it's here that Wallace West kind of does his typical thing where he's like, oh, you're working with her, you can't work with her, and he's being a little bit of a, you know what I mean, like, calm down, Wallace, just give it a break. Clearly, she just helped Flash escape from Captain Cold's prison, and Flash is like, yo, you guys have to stop. We need to work together to save the day. And then it's here that Lisa actually tells them that to stop Captain Cold, they need to acquire the various shards of Mirror Master's mirror tech. Wallace and Avery actually stole one a few issues back, and she informs everybody that she has a piece, as well as all the other rogues each have their own respective piece. Kind of seems like we're going to go through another gauntlet of bosses here, and at the end of each chapter, when we make our way through each rogue, we're going to get a different piece of mirror, and it just seems like that's what's going to happen, and that's what's being set up here. And meanwhile, the wolves actually make their way into Central City, and they start attacking all of them. Captain Cold's zero tech freezing technology is so strong right now that these ice wolves are pretty much impenetrable. They can't be defeated. And then none of the speedsters have their powers, so only Golden Glider actually has her powers here because something's wrong with the Speed Force. And Flash actually asks Golden Glider to take the dampening collar off of him so he can use his powers, so he can help. And seemingly Kid Flash knows something here, and he's like, Flash, don't do that. Do not take off your collar. But he does actually take off the collar with the help of Golden Glider, and this huge boom happens, and this energy happens, and then Flash is just like reverberating through different places and times. He's sitting there yelling. He's at the Hall of Justice. He's in space. He's just in the middle of a field. He's in the future with different Batman type soldiers going on here. And it's all just happening at once, and he's like, what's happening? What's happening to me? And Wallace puts the power dampening collar back on Flash, and he says, you can't do that. You can never take off this power inhibitor, understand? Because something's wrong with the Speed Force, and we can't use it again, and that is too dangerous. And we see this huge shockwave that is around all of them that was created from when the Flash took off his collar. So we're actually going to find out what happened to the Flash and maybe what's happening with the Speed Force in the next issue. We're kind of doing like a backwards storytelling style here, where we see the end results and then we're being explained what's happening. Like that's what happened kind of last week, and in this we get another little chunk of how Captain Cold was able to defeat Flash and take over Central City, and how we're left with the situation that we're in now. I really like this issue so far. I thought that the artwork was pretty tremendous. I really enjoyed what was going on. It pushed the story in a good direction. It let us know what happened a little bit, and I'm really curious to see what's going on with the Speed Force, what's happening with the Flash, and why they can't use their powers. Can't wait to see what happens in the next issue. Yeah, no, love this issue. Like I said, as always, you can check this video out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/OneShotTheory. You can also visit comicbooklegion.com, where you can check out this video and other contributions from the many contributors, podcasts, written, and reviews from comicbooklegion.com. As always, I'm your host, Kelly One Shot. You take care, have a great day, and goodbye!